YouTube. What's going on? It's your boy Buddha, back in the building for another Last Cloudia information video slash guide, I think is what I'm gonna call it, because I'm going to be talking about a certain topic in Last Cloudia that is quite interesting. If you saw my little short that I posted late Sunday night about the homie, the newly evolved Nero, smacking enemies around for what I believe is the highest achievable consistent dual wield cap that a unit can possibly have at this current moment in time. By consistent, I mean not one hit out of the whole combo being like plus 100 something thousand like we have Aaron and now Melee doing. I'm talking about if you give a unit full damage cap stacks, what is that baseline number from the original 9,999 that they are going to be hitting every single hit in their combo. And as expected, I did get the comment saying, hey, can you please share the build? So originally this was going to be a Nero 5-star showcase video, but then I figured, why don't I broaden the topic? I think especially for new players coming into the game, just because when you see other content creators doing these showcases, achieving these crazy numbers, but maybe not explaining the full process of how they got there, it poses that question of how do I hit those kinds of damage numbers? And I'm just going to let you know now, it's never a real practical strategy. I'm coining it the damage cap stress test, because you have to go through a pretty substantial amount of setup just to achieve that maximum amount of additive cap on these specific characters, which is the whole point when we do these showcases. It's not for actual practical use, it's just to see how big of a flex we can achieve on whatever character we're looking at. So we're going to go over all the equips, skills, arcs, characters, etc. that propel units' damage caps to their max, so maybe one day you can do the damage cap stress test all on your own. Let's load right into the party, and you can already see some certain things that I'm going to be covering more in depth, but I want to start with equipment. If we go to the equip tab, you can see the following pieces of gear that I have equipped to Nero. We've got the Scarlet Blade, which you get from the Crimson Ore Shop, giving us that physical attack damage cap of plus 1500. Skip over this second piece of equipment. What I will mention is that I will not be considering things that are pretty unique, like paid gear, things like all of the wards that are available to increase damage cap at the moment. I'm just sticking to the things that are pretty standard. We'll go over maybe those other things a little briefly because they can affect the numbers. Moving on to accessories, the Phantom Tower key, which you get as the Arc-Ether reward from the Phantom Tower LR arc. After beating Tower of Trials, floor 80, damage cap plus 500, and Hail Sovereign's Ring, physical damage cap plus 1000, special damage cap plus 1500. Which you get from multiplayer grinding the coins and then trading it in the multiplayer coin exchange shop. Keep in mind that we're going over a physical damage cap stress test here. If you guys do want to see how you would really push magic damage cap or special damage cap boundaries, let me know in the comments. But since physical DPS is kind of the main star here with Nero, that's what we're going to be focusing on. Just based off the equipment, we are getting a plus 3000 damage cap to Nero here. Let's then move back over to skills, because we finally did just get, I believe, one of the first teachable skills that does give us physical damage cap. It actually gives us universal damage cap in all areas, but that is in the form of Terror Mel 3 from the latest Melee Mare UR arc. You can see damage cap to enemies with status ailments plus 2000. Prior to this, I believe we've only ever seen magic mega boosts, which boost magic damage cap only. We had never seen any type of damage cap that's universal or physical damage cap that's teachable by any skills on arcs in general. And then the arc, of course, where that skill comes from, Melee Mare offers us a 4000 again, universal damage cap to enemies with a status ailment. This is the highest damage cap that we currently have on a UR arc, which just makes it amazing because the only stipulation is that you gotta give the enemies status ailments. And what do you know, the actual skill, the active skill on the UR arc has a chance to give enemies status ailments, so it works pretty nice together. Then we get into the party, starting with Xbet here, who not in her traits, but in her skill set, one of her unique skills, surprise present, apply killer / slayer damage cap plus 3000 buff to ally with the highest strength. So as long as your unit that you want to give the damage cap to has the highest strength and has whatever enemy's slayer and or killer and or geyser that's relevant to what you're attacking, they will be getting this plus 3000 buff from Lilibet. Looking at Tinkili, the second member of our party, she does give a plus 3000 physical damage cap to all allies. However, when you use her special at 5-star enhancement, you see it says grants a damage boosting effect for all allies, skills, and specials. This includes another plus 2000 on top of this 3000 that she gives to all allies there. And while this is as much as we can achieve in our 3-man party system, there is another character that is very important that you will need to snag off of support. We're talking about Sarah here. You can see in her first trait, while unit is alive, all allies damage cap plus 2000. It doesn't end there, folks, because in her abilities, her special as well, El Sharia, apply an all attribute damage percentage and damage cap of plus 3500, giving us the potential for 5500. However, pay attention to the difference here. Her initial 2000 damage cap is a universal damage cap, while her special damage cap that she gives is an attribute only damage cap. So here's the thing, no attribute attackers cannot get this extra 3500 from Sarah's special. These are all things you have to consider when you're doing these damage cap stress tests, who you're bringing, who you're experimenting on, to know the actual number of damage cap that you are providing to that unit. As I mentioned, you'll have to grab Sarah as a support unit. However, it's just in regards to the 3 supporting maidens that I'm talking about. If you have Tinkili and Sarah, you'd have to find an Xbet support and, vice versa. Once you've identified what you're going to need exactly, then it's about finding a stage that allows you to do this kind of test effectively. Since we're going to be pumping out so much damage, you ideally want a stage that has enemies with a lot of HP. And gotta give credit to the homie Tweacz, of course, for showing me Arden Border in God stage. This is kind of his new favorite stage to test. Would you look at that? Out of the 2 we have to select here, there is a Sarah with an arc skill level 10 Great War of Ruin. Why is this so important to the damage cap stress test? Because this at level 10 charges every ally's special to max upon use, and as we know, Tinkili and Sarah both rely on using their specials to provide that maximum amount of damage cap to the team. Once you have all of the pieces of the puzzle, it's just about knowing your plan of action. As we know, both Tinkili and Sarah will have to use their specials, so I will be using Great War of Ruin initially, using both of their specials to get the full amount of damage cap on top of Nero. Nero's also going to need skill stock, so luckily Xbet here has Winry's Apple Pie and or WAP to charge up all of his skills. And then finally, I do have a Nulamelth on Nero. We'll cast that, use the arc skill from Melimare to apply those status ailments, getting that 6000 additive damage cap, and then just start spamming skills and see the maximum potential of our boy Nero with our current damage cap additions in the game. Of course, remember, this video could change, right? The details, we might get more skills, more pieces of equipment that give us more damage cap, but I think it's still valuable to just explain the whole process and what we currently are doing to do these damage cap stresses, specifically for physical damage, as we can see here. Before we jump into battle, let me just mention wards, because they are becoming a bit more relevant as we get more characters with these damage cap raises. Although they're just at plus 100, I know my Nero here is getting 100 from both 2B's ward, since he does have a sword equipped, as well as 100 from Lance Veil, because we're going to be using his S2, which is of the Thunder element, getting that extra 100 damage cap. And I know I could be giving him another 200 based on characters that I have. Both Edward from FMA gives 100 for using a machine, and DB Ray also gives another damage cap for Thunder plus 100. But since it's going to depend on characters that you have, and if you have them 5th enhanced, I didn't want to talk about it too much, especially since it's only plus 100 per unit. Just keep that in mind, that we do have an extra plus 200 from our current wards. And with all that explanation out of the way, it's just about how pretty we can make the process look for these little Last Cloudia shorts, damage showcases that you see Tweacz posting all the time, other content creators, and now myself. So shout out to the homies, and let's see if Buda can pull this off. We're going to start, like I said, by activating Great World Rhythm and using both Particularly and Sarah's special. Hopefully our Nero doesn't do anything too crazy while we are on these two units. I can switch right here. After we get these specials out of the way, we're going to be using WAP on Nero here and Sharia real quick. And we're going to have to switch back to Nero in order to pass Winry's apple pie. I could have done that to make it maybe a little cleaner. We obviously know that Sarah is super effective against gods. Can't activate anything yet. Now we can Winry's apple pie to Nero, and we'll do a Nulamelf right here. Now that we have a Nulamelf on, we should be able to apply ailments fairly easily. So we'll go ahead and activate Nail in there. It looks like they all do have a status ailment, which is great. So the final step is grouping them all together and activating our skills once freaking Lilibet gets her WAP off. We're gonna wait for that to happen. Here we go. Theo to bring them all together, and then the S2 in particular is the best skill for shooting off damage caps, because it gets that monster. It gets that monster plus 12,000, but there we go. His S3 also gets 48,000 damage cap, as we saw at the end there. It was not as pretty as I would have liked it to be. The WAP seemed to take super long. I should have really popped that from the very beginning. But there you go. There's the showcase of how we got Nero to hit 60k. Just because he's got that S2 with that newly 12,000 additional damage cap to him. Once you have all the damage cap on your character, the build is just about making them hit those damage caps. So as many damage modifiers as you possibly have, Sharp Eyes, Berserker, Sword Boost, Weapon Boost, all the boosts, right? Anything that adds that damage percentage to the unit so they're hitting those caps consistently is what you're going to want to use. And that about does it for the physical damage cap stress test. For you newbies out there, now you know what the secrets of the kingdom are. Anyone wondering what you do as an endgame player, you basically just do min-maxing stuff like this. Take characters into random stages and make up your own types of challenges until we get new updates, new content from Adel themselves. A lot of veterans are going to know this information. It's nothing new, but I figured I would just put it in a video format as a little information guide, so that you can reference anyone asking, how do you do those damage numbers? How do we get those damage caps? A lot of the information should probably be in this video for a good while. As always, shout out to the homie, the sensei Tweacz. Just hanging out with him in live streams, watching him do these kinds of things has taught me how to do it, and now I can enjoy little damage stress caps on my own time. So wanted to share the knowledge with anyone who's curious. And like I said, let me know if you want to see what you're going to need for magic damage cap stress tests and even special damage cap stress tests. I think those would be interesting videos to put together for the specifics that we have currently in game. That's all I got for you this time, guys. Like, subscribe, bell noties. If you're new, you know the YouTube drill by now. And with all that being said, y'all know what we say. Work hard, play hard. See you in the next video.